Hello everyone, I am Jayant.
I am Harish. Welcome to the Swatantra Show.
We bring you inspiring stories of entrepreneurs building interesting independent businesses, staying bootstrapped. Listen in and enjoy.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Swatantra Podcast Show. I'm Harish. I have with me my co host Jayant. Today on the show, we have Abhishek Iyengar. He is the founder of the VMove Group.
Hi all. Thanks a lot, Harish, for inviting me for this podcast. And thanks a lot, Jayant, for having me. It feels nice to talk about, at least during this time. So thanks a lot for having me.
Hey, sure. It's our pleasure. So, Abhishek, are an engineer by education. Most of us are like that. We do engineering and then figure out that, okay, this is not really what we want to do and do something else. So, and then you were also into a corporate job in the IT industry for a while.
Right.
So, what influenced you to take up theater? What were those experiences, either in the professional world or even in your education or before, that kind of influenced you to take up theater in a serious way? Could you talk about that?
To begin with, I was part of theater growing up as well. So I did a lot of theater in school because I used to frequently travel to Mysore. And I used to be part of Rangayana for a good amount of time in their summer camps. So there was a lot of theater influence in me while growing up. Then I did quite a number of theater in college and university level too. But all those things died down when I went into engineering, and things largely started to revolve around profession and career and marks and all those things. Actually, for me, it was very difficult to accept that something that I was actually doing for a long, which was theater both in school and some amount of theater in PU level, I couldn't do in engineering, because also during those times, engineering colleges did not have a great theater platform as such. Nowadays, actually, a lot of engineering colleges have theater workshops and theater festivals, etc. I mean, the word theater was itself very new to them. Engineering happened, and then went into the IT job with a lot of expectations. But yeah, I don't know whether I could not meet their expectation or they could not meet my expectation. The tangling between two things continued. We started Vimu Theatre in 2006, and I joined my corporate job in early 2006. So it both was started in the same year. 6 months into the corporate job, the first 6 months when they put me on bench, I knew that this is exactly not what I wanted to do, because every day I just can't get up, log in, and then go and sit doing doing nothing, because I thought I was actually personally wasting a lot of time, or I didn't know whether the IT industry back then was probably still, I would say, novice. But over the time, worked for about 11 years. And I was doing both. I was doing weekend theater and I was doing office work. And the calling was always on the creative side. During this journey, a lot of literature reading happened. A lot of theater happened. I personally went and did a lot of shows that were written by me. I directed plays, and there was a visible difference. Every Saturday, Sunday, there was that energy that comes to you, and that you drag your feet and then go to the rehearsal, make sure the rehearsal happens, do the show. But the morning, every Monday morning, the energy used to dip drastically. Then one day, my wife actually one day told me that, I mean, I think you should stop this. You should stop killing yourself every day. Either kill yourself permanently or do not kill yourself. So I think that's when I decided that let me give a try doing theater full time. It was in 2014 that I quit. I was working with EMC Square, now Dell. I quit and then pursued theater full time, but not. I would definitely tell a lot of people that we did a lot of planning. Me and my partner, who founded Vimu Theater, before quitting, we did a lot of planning. It was not a decision that we generally see on films or any kind of documentaries, that one day I got up and I thought that I want to quit and I put my papers. It didn't happen that way for sure.
Yeah, it's never, I don't think it's never as dramatic in any case. Jayant, you had a question, I guess.
Yeah. So In fact, your story is most of our stories as well. So typical middle class story is what it is. So we have some calling, we do something. So yeah, just taking a leaf out of our initial conversation, Abhishek. So we wanted to understand rather if you could just spare some time on what is VMove. Why,
Yeah.
for example, if I
Yeah.
were to sort of look at VMove, I have a very different take on what is VMove, why VMove, and all that. If you could just spend
Yeah.
some time on what is VMove and the story behind the name in itself.
Right. So, Vimo Theatre as such is a theatre company based out of Bangalore. I think today we are called or we are listed in about India's 10th largest theatre company as per the Wikipedia. And it is Bangalore based. And the strange story is that all of them who actually came forward to start this theatre group, we all met on a very old social media platform called as Orkut. It was very prevalent then in 2005, 2006. The idea was, see, personally, I was into writing from the times that I knew that I could write. I did my internship, and also I did a lot of writing, freelance writing for Vijaya Times, which is now Bangalore Times, Bangalore Mirror, and also did a little bit of writing for Deccan Herald, these kind of papers that back then in 2004, 2005. So I was always keen on writing. So in this Orkut, there was a small ad in 2006 where people uh, had posted telling that they wanted a writer for a short movie. And I raised my hand and I told that I can write. I had not written any short movie back then. Yeah, I mean, it was a crazy thing to do something different than IT. So I raised my hand and we all met. And then we figured out telling that no one had any experience on how to do a short film. Today, doing a film is quite little more easy because of all the technology that we had. Back then, it was a little more difficult. I'm sure Harish and you guys will know. And we didn't have any experience. And then couple of them, that is both from one of my senior member of that particular group, and also me personally, we had some theater background. The senior member, he told me that, say, hey, look, since we don't have any experience in doing a short film, we'll first do a theater, we'll do a stage play, and then we'll go into making a short film. And that's how the journey started. So this entire short movie that was there, it was actually renamed, recoined, and rephrased into We Move. The movie actually got rephrased and this one as We Move. So that's how the name started in 2006. And we continued doing plays from 2006. And in 2014, we started the corporate company also, which is Vimo Solutions. So we've done about close to 200 stage shows from 2006. We are about 15 productions old. Today we have an offshoot in California too. And then we have quite a bit of amount of presence in New York, New Jersey, and also San Jose and different parts of US too. And a little bit in the slowly venturing into Europe space. And that's how the entire team space is actually defined as.
Starting a business and making a living out of it is always a challenge, right? And doing
Correct.
that in a theater based business has its own
Yes.
unique challenges. I wouldn't say that it is not possible or impossible, because people including you have shown that it is possible, but there are certainly challenges. Theater being, anything around theater being more real time, you'll need it's more people intensive and all those things, right? And making that into a business, I am sure, will be like quite a bit of a challenge, right? So what were some of those challenges that you faced? And in the midst of all this, especially, like, even I know that when you do stage shows, people say, hey, why stage shows in this day and age, right? So that kind of naysayers and skeptics will always be there just for doing shows. And now if you're saying I'll do a theater based business, I'm sure there will be people who would have said more negative things to you about why it will not work. But there would be certain things as you went in this journey that would have given you the confidence, yeah, this works. So what were those experiences apart from the challenges, and what were those experiences that gave you the confidence that this is something that you can not only do, but you can make a living out of it?
So another thing is that, as I told you, that when we did Vimu Theatre, which is the theatre part of it, and when we thought that can this be turned into a full-time company in the booming era of IT and apps world. It was a very crazy idea, and a lot of them to whom we spoke, including a good amount of management professors, advisors, friends, senior vice president at different companies. They kind of ridiculed and they laughed at us, telling that this will not work because one of the biggest factor of business of setting up a company, which is scalability, is not there here, because you can't scale a business like theater. How like you can't replicate, right? For example, you can shoot a movie and then you can show it in about 500 screens, but you can't do a play in about 500 stage. So that is impossible to do. So we lacked scalability for sure, which we kind of knew it. And coming from a middle class family, to quit a high paying IT job and do something that is drastically different than your regular job was filled with a lot of challenges from the family itself. The parents had a lot of resistance. They were thinking that we were going mad with whatever that we are doing. They were thinking that whatever that we allowed them to do on Saturday, Sunday has taken over them, which we shouldn't have been the case. So I think so in order to get them, in order to set the house in order before we even took a jump was the biggest challenge. To make people realize, to make people calm, to actually get that particular time frame, telling that give me 6 months, give me 1 year, let me go try. Because there is this big taboo, right? I mean, if you have gap in your resume, you can't get back to any other company. So there was a lot of anxiety per se in that matter. But one of the driving factor that actually taught us was this whole vacuum of things that we learn in theater, which are very much equal to what happens in a corporate world. And there was no gap, there was no bridge between theater and corporate during that particular point of time. Even if there was very little amount of bridge that we had built upon. We exactly knew, because we were from both the fields. We exactly knew as to where theater can actually fit into the corporate world, especially the learning and development, which is the training programs that we offer today. We knew for sure that things that we learn in theater, for example, be it teamwork or be it communication, be it voice modulation, etc. All these things resonates to project management, stakeholder management, and then basics of agile, and some of these things which are very high paid training programs in corporate. And they were all being done in very old legacy presentations, PPT styles. And I knew from my own corporate experience that when I went and attended training programs, the L&D managers, the HR managers telling that there needs to we need to look at training in a more efficient way. And the Western world had actually tried this and actually had opened up to this kind of theater based training. So we exactly knew that theater can actually fit in there, but we didn't know how to actually fit in there. We knew that it will fit, but who will believe us? Because we don't have expertise or specialization in either of the field. We had not studied theater formally, and we had not studied MBA formally also. So that was the most difficult part. In that thing, I think one thing that actually kept us lingering was one of the shows that we did for a corporate company. My partner was working in that particular company, and they were having a company day, and then their manager knew that my partner was part of the theater, so he called him up and said that, hey, can you do a small 30-minute performance? It was in Leela Palace, and we had not even seen Leela Palace then. And my partner actually had agreed, and he told that we'll do a theater in a corporate setup in a company banquet meeting. And it was a big cultural shock to me. I mean, I was performing in HN Kalakshetra, and then he was asking me to perform in Leela Palace stage, which will obviously not have anything that is near to what a theater stage will have. At least, definitely not the feeling. And but we had to do, because they promised us that they will pay 6,000 rupees, and that was a big money. 6,000 was a big money then. So, and we agreed, and I wrote scripts that were relatable to corporate people, largely on appraisal process, on the loan process, etc., etc. I mean, some humorous scripts that we wrote, and we performed there. And it was a turning point. That performance was a turning point. We got 6,000 rupees because we did that, because we had, so that we can actually get that money and pay deposit for the auditorium for the next couple of shows, and we didn't have to worry whether we can actually fill the auditorium to get that money back. So in that what I can say, in that hope, we actually performed. But the director of that particular division of the corporate company, he actually came after the performance and told that hey, you guys need to look into this more seriously because the corporate world needs it. And it was a very senior person who actually had told that, because and we didn't. That's when it took us, like that's when it actually that's when we thought that okay, this is where it can actually fit. These are some of the programs that can actually fit the corporate world. And it took about 7 years from that day to even conceptualize and form the company formidably, in fact.
That's a very interesting story. I mean, like quite relatable to, I think, some of the experiences that we all would have had in terms of doing something that's a little, not the regular kind, right? So you basically right now you're doing a lot of corporate
Yes.
workshops and other stuff. So that's how I'm assuming that is also your main kind of a revenue earner also, right? Because compared to
Yes.
even stage shows again. And maybe just on that, so because we will come to, I know the theater part and the stage show part will always be more interesting, just so that now we are on the whole corporate thing that you just spoke of. So how did that journey go from that stage show that you did for that 6,000 rupees thing to a more, corporate workshops? And how did you approach the corporate workshops? What was your kind of first win with, doing these workshops? And like a bit about that journey of taking theater to corporates and not just staging shows at company days and other stuff. That's probably a more regular one. But the interesting aspect of bringing the learnings from theater to a corporate environment and adapting it over there. So those workshops, how did you go about it? Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So I think, as I told you, so we did this show, and then it was constantly lingering in our mind. And then we tried couple of small workshops that we learned in Ravindra Kala. We used to rehearse in Ravindra Kalakshetra rehearsal room. They have about 3 sheds there. We used to rehearse there. So whatever that we used to rehearse for our own betterment of acting on Saturday, Sunday, we tried couple of them in our respective IT companies going back on a Monday. It actually worked a lot in terms of a lot of things worked in terms of team synergy and communication and coordination. These kind of things a lot worked in what as compared to what we learned in theater. So uh, so we were two partners, I think, me and Rangaj. So Ranga was in Mysore, he was working for Infosys. So and we thought about it a lot. We in that 7 years, whatever, from what Ranga got this first project to whatever that we started on, we parallelly did I think couple of small workshops too the companies that we used to work also. We probably we did not get paid, but that was a very great beta testing for us to figure out whether this will work or not. And from there, I think what happened was, once our own company project managers liked what we used to do, they referred to their friends' project teams in different companies. So like that, we did couple of very early workshops for GE. We did couple of very earlier workshops for couple of manufacturing companies called as Indolex and these kind of corporate companies, and everything was just either by friends who were part of the Vimu Theatre group. They were probably either working there, so they could get us easily in, like telling that, hey, my theatre group will come. And this was all like not on a very prefixed rate basis. They were like, hey, I'll pay you this much, you will do it. And we say that yes, we will do it because we wanted that experience. And from there, I think we had earned about roughly about 2.5 lakhs in 2013 cumulatively for the entire year by doing this corporate workshops, by accepting whatever that they pay. So we had earned about 2.5 lakhs, and we thought that if we actually formally put it now, we had done about 5 to 6 workshops for GE, Siemens, and Indolex and these companies, right? So if we formally now start, there could be something that we can actually, because if we now formally start, we put a rate chart, we put whatever we have got some amount of experience both in theater and then corporate. We had about 10 years of corporate experience by then. So So we started thinking about it, and Ranga quit first. He took about 6 months to do a market study, figure out whether things can work or things cannot work, etc., etc. And then about and 6 months we did not get anything, frankly. So we thought we will actually get it. The moment we quit, the friends who were actually referring us, they also dried up. They told us, no way, my company doesn't want to do it. It's enough, it seems, etc. And then we actually Ranga quit thinking that they can actually get us an early entry into their companies. And then the moment you quit, the problem is this is how the things are. The moment you quit and moment you formalize things, it will become a very formal procedure telling that you need to send a quotation, you need to send a presentation, then the presentation needs to get approved, the quotation needs to get approved, there needs to be a budget, there needs to be a PO. And we were like, we didn't do anything, any of these things when we were actually working and doing. Then we understood telling that was still an hobby and a passion where they used to honor us with some payment. But when things are professional, this is how it is. This is the real world. And now we are actually facing this real world. And we failed in converting all the presentations in the first 6 months. Our quotations didn't go through. We didn't know what to price. How will you price a workshop? We know how much I can price a software, or I know how much I can actually quote a RAM or a motherboard. But I don't know how much a workshop will cost, because for me there is no benchmark also. I mean, these kind of workshops, whom should I refer to? The last it was done in 1980s very prevalently by someone called as Vijay Padki, but he had actually retired by then when we started. So it was very difficult. The first 6 months, absolutely no work. And Ranga was planning to get back, thinking that this will not work. And at the 6th month, I also quit, telling that this is getting too much. Because between two founders, when one founder has already quit and trying to push the cart, the other founder sitting in the company, he can sit for some time, but there is always be that itching telling that let me also go on the field and try. Or more than itching, you can either say that the raw madness. So I also quit, and then it was hell. But luckily, one of the company, we actually went through the quotation process to one of the company, and we charged about 25,000 for a workshop. That went through, and we got about 5 workshops in after 7th month of the company that we started, and that gave us some money. And we thought that the moment we do the workshop, they will actually hand over the check. That also didn't happen. In the formalized process, once we do the workshop, we had to wait for 60 days for the PO process to actually convert into invoice and then come. But these things that we didn't know when we were working, because there was no financial pressure. Now there was a financial pressure. Once this company gave us 5 projects, that is when we actually started telling that this is how it works.
So apart from the corporate workshops, is there anything else that you also do, like courses and other stuff?
I mean, as of today, in today's Vimoo is divided into different divisions and departments. In fact, so we have the theater part, which is run separately, the stage part, and the Vimoo Theater has about 3 different programs. We call them as Big Step. They're all theater workshops for people who want to actually come and experience theater. So there is a 1-day workshop, and then there is a 4+1, which is a 4 weekend plus 1 workshop. That is a 5 weekend workshop, and then there is a 12-week intensive course where people actually go through these courses. A lot of students, a lot of people actually come and take up these courses, which are all chargeable. And after that, they pursue. They try to go to NSD, they try to go to Ninasam, etc. based on their abilities. Sometimes they come back and work with us. And then we have, along with Bharati Vidya Bhavan, we have our 1-year diploma course that also comes under Vimoo Theater. So people now study theater and get certified as a Vimoo certified theater practitioner, which will actually enable them to get jobs, acting jobs, paid jobs, and other things that are there. I mean, or they can actually probably apply for higher studies or different kind of things. So these are all managed by the Vimoo Theater division. Vimoo Solutions has the workshops, a lot of corporate workshops, from project managers to induction to communication, stakeholder, you name it, we have. And then we also have something called as corporate performances, where we actually, you get these internal communication emails and these kind of things, which generally employees don't open. in a big companies, service-based companies or product-based companies, we kind of consult them, and then we turn these communication mails into small short performances where we actually go to their respective cubicles and we group them, we group certain cubicles, perform there right there, just like a flash mob, how it happens, perform there, communicate what the HR wants to tell them in a much more lighter, better, and a memorable way. And things that are visual and things that are like something that you see here stay in mind longer than the emails. So we deal with this, we perform, and then we go into next cubicle or next floor or something like that. So we have this corporate performances as a separate division, and then we have this certified courses in corporate such as POSH, then IELTS, and then you have Industry 4.0. These are all the certified certifications that are there, and which are all again done using theater as a medium. And we also have Vimo Talkies, which does produce the short movies, etc. So there are different departments in today's Vimo, and we kind of earn from all these together, put together in the cumulative bank account. So everything has its own earning, and then there are different employees who work in different departments, and then they get their salaries paid out of these departments.
Wow, Abhishek, it's actually a very good story. I was under the assumption that, okay, in fact, when Harish and I spoke, we sort of had 3-4 divisions is what you're working on, but you having to speak, you have a lot of business angle to the entire theater. So just taking a step back, so I'm pretty sure what you've spoken so far will come with its own challenges and all that. My question is basically, if you're doing something new, for example, I'm just taking a theater or short film per se. So how do you sort of spread the word? So what means of marketing sort of works for a theater as a vertical?
In that per se, we were little lucky, I think, because growing with Vimo, the social media world also grew in India. So 2006-7 we had Orkut, by 2010 we had Facebook, and then I would say unadulterated Facebook with their algorithms not changed to show whatever that they want to show. So I think a lot of our marketing actually banked upon social media and the people involved in Vimo. We have a repertory where people actually undergo a lot of workshops and certifications and join the repertory. So they are our first set of ambassadors who actually go and speak about us. Whenever we do a show, whenever we actually perform, it is these people who actually bring in the first set of audience, and then the word to word mouth actually transfers. I think a lot of people. I think one thing that I should say that I'm very lucky with Vimo is that the people that we have had. I don't know for what reason. I still sit and wonder that they have given their heart and soul in growing Vimo, whether they are with Vimo today or whether they are not with Vimo today. I think they have gone to their beyond limitations to promote Vimo, to talk to them, send emailers to their respective corporate companies, put on social media. We have not spent anything on in terms of flyers or banners or hoardings or anything as such. I mean, off late we have to spend only for the Facebook ads because they stopped showing whatever the information that we wanted to. But apart from that, till now, it's largely the people and the social media, and WhatsApp has been a boon to us. Initial days of WhatsApp, a lot of people actually joined our open WhatsApp group. So we have about 3-4 open WhatsApp groups where people follow us. We put in constant information there. So there is a subscriber list today. There's a follower list that has developed today over the time, and they will support us. They'll kind of bank on us on whatever that we want to do. I think that way we are kind of very lucky in terms of both for theater and for the short films, that the people just poured their heart out to grow Vimo, and it was all through social media largely.
One of the other things is about Vimo is the fact that you're also a bootstrapped company, right?
Yes.
So one question there is, do you look for investments earlier? And then was it a conscious decision to not have these investments, or there was something else which led you to head or a bootstrap company?
But I think coming from a middle class family, the first thing that we read about startup is not the startup, but the investment that the startup gets. So, frankly, we both were inclined towards investment. Both were from a non-IIT, non-IMB background. Though later my partner actually got invited to do his course in IMB, which he did in 2018. But when we started, we were both from a non-IIT and non-IMB background. But we were actually, frankly, we were little immature because we thought that anyone can actually go and raise funds, and this word of angel funding is very deceptive, and there are no angels for sure in angel funding. There are only demons, if you can actually if you decode it. And we actually went and spoke, and because in 2013-14 when we started, the IT startup and the boom, the startup culture in Bangalore was also very high. There were a lot of, I don't know if you guys remember, there were a lot of companies which actually helped companies to raise funds. There was Indian Angel Network. There were different other websites where you can actually put in your company profile, and they used to, like Bharat Matrimony, they used to do matchmaking. Like, take this investor, then this particular company, match it. If the investment happens, then we take about 10% cut, something like that. So so many of these websites were there. Many of these companies were there. We applied to all of them. Our initial plan was we wanted to raise funds, and because we knew that we couldn't actually pay salaries and run whatever the operations of the company. Frankly, our operational costs were never high because we didn't have to invest on machineries. We didn't have to invest on softwares or licenses, frankly, or anything else. All that we need to invest was on good content and people who can actually create good content. So we needed a very good content creator who knew theater. So that was a very costly affair. And then we needed a space to work from. So that was the only thing that we wanted. So in order to do this also, we wanted to raise investment. We spoke to a lot of them. We thought that we'll raise 1 crore very easily. And it came to the point where we actually went into a 6-hour meeting for a 5 lakh investment, 5 lakhs. And this guy who accepted to invest 5 lakh, he was completely convinced. He came to one of our shows as well, and we remember that we were raising investment not on our theater based shows because no one would actually invest on a theater based show. We were actually presenting or projecting ourselves as a corporate based company, and with all the ideas that I was actually telling you now, we had then. We were projecting them, telling that this is all the things that we want to do in a corporate company, and we want to get into the learning and development space. So this is where I need the investment. And this guy who promised to invest 5 lakh, which we thought is the biggest achievement after almost about 1.5 years of searching for investment, it didn't happen at all. And then he actually signed the check too. He signed the check in front of us. He told that today some Ashad or something, which I don't believe much in. He told it's a bad day today. He asked us to come tomorrow. The next day, you will not believe we were not even let into his house. I don't know what changed in that one night. And and after some time, we also kind of got to know that he invested that money in a different car rental company, which was also booming at that particular point of time. But how can he change that entire decision in one night? That is something that is fishy too. But yeah, I mean, this is how we kind of faced about. I think till date we have faced a maximum rejections in terms of investment. People say that we are not scalable. People say that this is not a great idea. L&D space is very seasonal business, etc., etc. And every time we come back and wonder as to the companies which got funding, what did they see that they got funding? Because today, when I see those, it becomes very ironical. And that's when we thought that it is very difficult to raise funds. We realized after 1.5 years telling that for a company like Vimo, it is very difficult to raise funds. And my uncle, who used to stay in US, he donated about 10 lakhs as a seed fund, as a startup fund, as a loan, as an unsecured loan. We got from him, and that is the only I think investment that we kind of got till 2017. In 2017, we added a partner. We were 2 partners. We added a partner by selling about 20% stakes. That is the money that we got when we added a partner. So these are the only 2. One is the unsecured loan, and another one was when we added a partner because he was one of our friends too. So this is the only two way that till date we have raised funds. And the
Very
loan still,
interesting.
and the unsecured loan still stays. It is still unsecured.
Yeah. So typically, I mean, you've sort of summarized the typical startup journey in terms of funding, fundraising problems, and all that. I'm sure. I mean, I can echo a lot of thoughts when you say that, because having been in
Yeah.
that situation for more times than one. So yeah, actually, that conversation prompted me another question. So you said this is in, like, 15, 16 months into Vimo is when you started going and pitching for clients as well, right?
Correct.
So till then, how did you? So again, this is for our listeners who are actually interested in a business like yours. So how did you manage your cost? How did you manage your production costs till like 15, 16 months, because you were already in the business? So can you just spend some minutes on that, please?
Yeah, I mean, it is fair and square. So we had quit companies. Ranga had quit his company. I had quit his company. We had got our PF money. So the what was expected that we will store PF for rest of our life, 15, 16 months, both of our PF money was completely empty. So we were completely up on that PF money that we got from our previous companies. So it was completely self-funded. So we had to pay for the operation cost for the company, for the content writers that we had hired. So we started paying from our pockets. And as I told you, even when we started doing the initial amount of business, uh, we didn't know that we were actually really, because see, we are the set of people who don't study business and they then start a company. We don't have an idea about how operations or business work. So I didn't know for a fact, telling that I thought for me that moment I get a workshop, I'll get 25,000 in my hand. I didn't know that the 25,000 will come after 60 days, which is after the PO gets processed, which is the purchase order get processed. I didn't know that you can actually keep that PO as a security in a bank and then take that amount of money from the bank too. So these are some of the things that we learned each day. And by the time I used to get the 25,000 rupees after 60 days, I would have actually spent about 2 lakhs in running the company. So I would have spent 2 lakhs and 25,000 comes, and net I would be again 1.75, which is still again a 2 months fight down. I would again get another 25. So that's how it actually was the initial day. So for us, constant churning of projects were very, very important. We realized that we can't do one project and sit down for the entire month, because we need to do about 20 workshops so that actually the next month is actually survived. So then we actually and my uncle, who had actually given an unsecured loan, he used to run a company. Then he actually taught us how to do this monthly business plan, where you track your business not quarter wise, not year wise. For a startup like us, you need to do monthly business plan, which is monthly operational cost, telling that month on month, this is my operational cost, this is what I've earned, this is what I've burned this much amount of cash I've burned from the reserves on the month. Next month, I need to fill that burnt plus whatever the next month is. So that actually helped us to actually figure out, telling that where we are in terms of finances. So we utilize a lot of PF money. We utilize a lot of whatever savings money, whatever from the theater that we used to did. Stopped doing large amount of theater productions. Focus completely on the corporates. And then, though we quit our IT jobs to pursue theater as a full time, we kind of started running behind the IT companies. Stopped actually doing theater for some time. Stopped anything that actually bleeds us from the bank. Even a single rupee, we stopped that, in fact. So we were as stingy as possible. So much to the fact, telling that you will not believe, for the first six months or 7 months, we didn't actually take an internet connection. The building that we used to work from, the owner had a internet connection. We paid 100 rupees extra to him, and then we borrowed his internet connection. We told them that, sir, we'll use only this much. We are not using, because extra connection would be around 2,000 rupees, right? So for this, the owner agreed for 250 rupees extra. You can take the internet connection. After 5 o'clock, he used to switch off the router. Evening 5 o'clock. So it was such a pain, actually. Then again, go back to him, convince him, and then you should like extra 50 rupees. This is how we used to do it for the first 6 months.
So I hope you are now back to doing theater as well, right? So again, I think for some of us who have done theater, it's although it's something like, it is difficult. It's like time consuming. It's like, real time. But once you do it, it's like very difficult to say, I will not do theater anymore again. So it's kind
Correct.
of addictive, at least from my personal point of view. But I'm
Absolutely.
hoping that you are now able to get back to theater in maybe in some measure. And can you talk about the theater experience? Like, what is it now? Maybe a little bit about your stage show experience, the audience, how the audience responded to your shows, and just a bit about that.
Yeah, so we are back full time doing theater. In fact, today I actually do not take care of the corporate part, so I am away from the corporate part. So my partner Ranga takes care of the corporate part completely. So we run our own studio today, so which is there in Jayanagar 7th Block. A lot of so it's a rehearsal space. A lot of, I think, Bangalore's every theater company come and they do rehearsal there, and we don't charge for the rehearsal because we know that the difficulties that we have gone through to find a proper rehearsal space in Bangalore is something that we want to give back to the society. So we do not charge for the rehearsal. Theatre groups come, they rehearse freely for a fixed amount of for about 3 hours, 4 hours, and then they go. So that is something that we have been doing from past 1 year. If any art form that can teach you life, then it is theatre. So theatre teaches you life, and that's why it's probably more addictive than any other art form. At least that is my opinion for sure. I think largely some of the theatre that we have done revolves around stories of a common man, especially stories of a common Bangalorean, and that is why people can actually relate to our place in a more better way than other places. What I actually feel. I wrote about 6 productions and then directed about 11 productions. 6 I wrote and then directed, and then another 5 directed other people writing. Today there are about 3 different new directors in the team. They direct plays. They are all independent to each other. We produce their particular plays. Today we actually produce any good directors scripts, in fact, and people's response has been completely overwhelming. We have had great amount of houseful shows. We have had new directors come out of our groups. Till date, we are very proud to say that we have about 6 or 7 directors coming out of VMove. Few of them are doing their work independently out there in the external world. Few of them are still doing work with us. And there are about 100 to 150 artists who are coming out of VMove every year. And then they work outside, and some of them work inside. And some of the plays like Magrides, Nothing Like That, Sambandagala Sutta, these are some of our very popular plays of late. They all, they all were transported back to US. We did shows there. People loved the shows when we did there. I went and directed personally 2 of the shows in US. So they loved. So we kind of understood telling that the content is a king, no matter whichever geography or area that you are in. So I think it's been a great journey with respect to theater. That's why I told you we are about 200 shows old until the time that COVID actually struck, of course, and which we are actually trying to fight in a completely different way as we go and trying to do that. Yeah, but I think one of the primary thing that we kind of believe that worked with audience, which I kind of believed is theater for all, which is you do a play which has to be relatable, which has to be enjoyable to every person who actually comes into the auditorium. I don't believe plays for intellectuals only. A person who, when he pays 100 rupees, he is accountable for it, and I am accountable for it. So his time and his money should be completely worth of whatever that he spends on me on that particular evening. So we're stuck to that particular policy. We're done using done plays and whatever drama that we have done. We are done only using that particular policy, and I think that is one of the major reasons that we kind of survived, I think.
I think you brought up the point of the current COVID situation, right? So theater is also something, or anything allied with theater, like theater workshops, etc., is more a real-time, in-person kind of an engagement, right? And the current situation kind of prohibits that. So how have you managed to weather this situation?
Uh, so when this situation started in April, we kind of thought that it will go in May or it will go in June, but we kind of slowly understood that I think this is here to stay, and we got to learn to live with it. Some of our corporate programs took a hit. There were a lot of programs that they were scheduled in May, April. There was a lot of financial loss that happened during that particular point of time. But slowly, one of the things that we are doing is that, as I told you, we have a new platform which is called as video learning platform. This is an interactive platform that we kind of developed last year without knowing that we'll get into this particular situation. This is a very interactive video where some of the learning programs are converted into short films, and it is interactive in nature. So these short films are then loaded onto our platform and then delivered to the corporate companies. And the end user, he actually takes this particular course, and at each level of this particular short film, he's watching a short film, and each level the film stops and it actually prompts him to for an answer. Based on his answer, which we would have actually calculated, the story also takes a twist and turn. I mean, the learning course also takes a twist and turn. Only to the user will actually even forget that he's actually taking an L&D course. Only will actually realize only when he has to answer the set of questions at the end. This is an interactive video learning platform which is very new, which is something that we have done. A lot of companies are now interested in this particular thing. Again, this is again based on the creative form of short films. Say for example, your course like stakeholder management or a communication or a say leadership workshop is actually shot as a short story where the audience actually traverses through different paths of the story, and then he realizes telling that this is a learning thing, and he then takes an assessment. So a lot of our courses are getting converted into this particular format, and we are trying to deliver to the corporates. Few of the sessions have been now moved on to online, which is a very difficult thing to convince them, because for about 8 years we told them that don't go online, come offline. Now we are telling them don't go offline, come online. we have become online. So it is more like split personality in us. So, so some of our sessions now are turning into online. And that is happening perfectly fine. Some of the storytelling sessions, business stories, some of the writing sessions, business writing sessions, some of the inductions that are happening. Like Tuesday, we have an induction for about 5 batches of a corporate company, all happening online on Zoom. So our content, our way of methodology, and whatever that we used to do offline is now being changed, adapted, so that it can happen in that small screen that we are actually doing the workshop, both for the person who is doing the workshop and the person who is actually attending the workshop too. On the theater front, one of my play called as Buy Two Coffee. It's a small play between two characters who is mother and son. That has been traveling. We are doing an online show of that particular Buy Two Coffee. So since largely my plays are textual plays, a wordy plays, there are a lot of text in my plays and little amount of movement as such. We did one show in San Jose. Tomorrow we have another show in Los Angeles. People are, and it's dedicated for the audience there, and they're paying for it. We have scheduled a lot of such shows in Bangalore. We are one thing that was very good for theater in terms of this pandemic is that our mind thing of theater means only that live interaction is now being destroyed in people's mind. So the entire question of is theater scalability now suddenly is vanished. Now theater is scalable because everything is happening online. The same theater method is happening online, just that the content is a little bit modified into less of physical activity and more of thought process activity. And the plays also, now they are open to see it on Zoom. People earlier used to never actually watch it on Zoom. So I think this pandemic helped us to squash that perception of theater, in fact. And I am thankful for that, in fact. That actually helped, because now we are having a show in Kolkata, we are having a show in Chennai. And imagine that we had to travel to Kolkata, we had to travel to Chennai. We used to spend more money than the show itself. Now we are sitting here doing the show. Of course, I know that the experience is not the same. The moralities or the modalities are not the same. The script is not the same. But still, theater show is happening and people are still paying. And then we are in actually 100% profit as compared to when we actually go there physically and perform. We are actually we would probably make more money because the amount of spending is very less, right? So, and that entire payment can go towards the artist who actually would never earn so much, in fact, previously. So that way we are trying to move all the things online, in fact, to whatever possible, to whatever level that is actually possible.
Yeah, this is really great, Abhi. I mean, the way sort of you've used existing structure and sort of brought into online, and how well you're marrying the online. It's really nice to hear. Honestly, I have to confess, this has been really, really insightful conversation as well. And I will promise that there are 2 or 3 questions. I think we'll let you go.
Sure. No
So
problem.
yeah, so now that I mean, see, the reason why this question is best suited for you is because you've seen the other side as well, and you have gone through the hardships of sort of setting it up and sort of building it from scratch. So if someone out there listening to this podcast or listening to this episode and wants to get into theater, I would be a little more generic. Wants to get into anything that creatively or anything of his calling. So what would your advice be to him or her?
So one thing that I would actually tell people of today who would actually want to go into the creative field is see the amount of people who actually want to lure themselves into the creative field and then going there, figuring out that there is big amount of competition on the creative field as well, getting disappointed and coming back, getting stuck is actually slowly increasing. When we kind of frankly jumped the ship, the competition was still actually a little low. Today, for everything there is competition. For everything there is someone who is actually doing better than you. Because the amount of the knowledge and the amount of awareness among people is very high. So one thing that is very important today is proper preparation, domain knowledge. It's kind of very important. And second thing is that the attitude of the people to work in creative field has to be very right. You can't expect that you go into creative field and they give you the job that you want. You have to slog your but in order to get to the position where you kind of do what you want to do, that's very important. Second thing, you got to be very open to learn new things. Like when I quit from EMC Square and then started working in a garage, I couldn't take that psychological barrier himself telling that I was sitting in an AC cubicle, now shifted myself into a house garage. Like from a SEZ to a house garage, that actually, it took a while for me to even get that feeling telling that this house garage is my office now. Though those are the minute psychological barriers that people have, which might affect you. You have to have that will in you to fight those barriers, the smallest of the smallest barriers. And these are the smaller barriers that will affect you more. I mean, you might still be okay with the paycheck, but these are some of the smaller things. You will not get your Sodexo coupon. These are some of the things that will bother you more than anything else when you do such kind of things. So you need to prepare yourself. And second thing, be practical. Do not jump the gun because someone else jumped the gun. It is not easy on the other side. The grass is always greener on the other side. Do not jump the gun. When you do some kind of market study, see where you can actually make money. At the end of the day, along with passion, making money is important because passion doesn't put food on the plate. Money does. So it is very important to calculate as to where your source of income comes from. Secure a source of income, and once you can actually see that this is where I can actually earn. That is when you have to jump. So this dreamy sequence of jumping one night is actually limited to plays and films too. I would say in a real world there is a lot of practical preparation and figuring, and then try doing both. I mean, it is perfectly possible. I would suggest them for sure that if they want to do creative field, try doing certain amount of thing on weekends. Try doing that whatever that they do on weekend more seriously, then start telling that what they do on weekend, if it happens from Monday to Friday, how it will be. That will give a fair amount of simulated idea telling that this is my life will be. If they're ready to accept that life, then that's when they have to take that step.
Wow, actually, the wonderful words that you've put in, because normally what we do is once we jump the gun, we only look at the macro aspects in terms of I'm going to build a $1 billion company next, but we would never be interested in maybe as simple as, like you rightly said, weekend Sodexo coupons or very very micro and minute things. These are the detailing that actually hits our everyday life. It's very very well summed up, Abhishek. So this brings me to the next question, which is what next for VMove? So what are your plans for VMove next?
We have a few plans. So on the theater front, what we need to do is that our integrated course with Bharati Vidya Bhavan that we did, it's one of its, after a long time, Bangalore University used to offer this 1-year diploma theater courses, and then it was stopped in 90s. So we now restarted in association with Bharati Vidya Bhavan because they're a university and our syllabus can actually go in there. So we want to actually take this 1-year diploma course on the VMU theater front to different parts of the state first, and then see whether if there is any other way that we can actually expand it further. Theatre for Education, that's another group that we run, by the way, which I forgot, which is also a money-making source for theatre practitioners, because CBSE from 2017 has made theatre as a mandatory elective. Like all CBSE schools has to list out theatre as one of the elective, and the students are necessarily should take 3 electives before they get their 10th hall ticket. So they have to either take pottery or a painting. They're electives in CBSE, and it is late. It was later introduced in ICSE also. So either they have to take theater, pottery, painting, or martial arts. There are about 11, 12 different electives. A lot of schools now have theater, and there are no theater instructors. Though the school lists out theater, who will teach them? So we need about there are about 3,800 CBSE schools in this country, and in this state alone, and we need about 4,000 theater instructors. And do we have this amount of theater instructors? If you see that, absolutely no. We might have 4,000 engineers, but we don't have 4,000 theater instructors. So I think one of the biggest thing that I would want to work is with the central government Skill India program, map theater for education as a skill. I'm still trying to work with the government. It's a big mess there. They are not ready to see this in this angle, but it is needed, even if not now, tomorrow, where people can actually graduate from this 1-year diploma course and get trained in theater training, theater teacher training course, and then can get employed in one of the CBSE or ICSE school as a theater trainer, and they get good amount of salary, 35,000-40,000 per month, which is as good as any other good decent job. Imagine someone from Tumkur coming out, doing this theater training course, and then getting a job in one of the schools. So this is one of the things that we are trying to do, map it to Skill India program. On the solutions front, on the corporate front, we are trying to take a video learning platform into a much bigger level, trying to see as to how we can actually bring in more content-oriented topics and replace existing legacy learning systems. If it is possible, if we can actually develop scripts in such a way that 3 people, 4 people can act, and we can form 4 different teams of such 3 different actors, and then at the same time, like a film releases, you have a play released at multiple auditoriums and still have people watching it. So if it is really possible, we're trying to work on that too, in fact.
Wow, that's amazing. The conversation has been like really interesting, insightful, and there are a lot of things that you guys have done which is not typical, that is not very typical, and it's very unique and interesting as well. So the final question, Abhishek, this is the Swatantra show. We call it the Swatantra show because this is about self-funded or bootstrapped companies, right? So
Right.
the question is, what do you think makes someone or a business Swatantra?
I think the confidence in the founder's heart and soul to run this particular business, I think makes that particular business Swatantra. No matter the money can be repaid. You can actually pledge anything and actually do some mortgages or do something, and then you can actually repay. Or I think in a startup or to run a particular company, you can actually repay anything and everything, except for the fact that your own confidence of running this particular company, no matter what. Even I think if VMove survives pandemic, then it is only one of the few art organizations that would have survived the pandemic. And our confidence to keep it going, the zeal and the passion to keep it going, no matter what, without coming into the peer pressure of 28 lakh per package or 36 lakh per package or whatever the lakhs per package that we hear, and still have a very humble small office running and still doing what you like. I think that makes the startup of the company Swatantra, is what I think.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. So thanks a lot, Abhishek. Thanks a lot for your time, and this has been like a really fascinating conversation.
Thanks a lot, Jayant and Harish, for having me. I mean, it also rekindles my journey. So it's actually good during this time to talk about this particular journey, because it motivates that we have come this long. So I think we can scrape through this next couple of months too.
Sure. Wish you all the best for your future.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely,
Thanks a
Abhishek.
lot.
It was really a very interesting and insightful conversations that we had, and fortunately for us as well, we learned a lot from our conversation today. I'm pretty sure our listeners, whoever is listening to the episode as well, will find this episode really interesting. Thanks a lot, Abhishek, for your time today.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Jayan. Thanks a lot, Harish.